Welcome back to another episode of the Ball Don't Lie podcast presented by Horizon Media. I'm your host, Jacob Fraser, and once again, joined by Cam Connolly. Cam, how's it going?
Great day. NBA playoffs start tomorrow. I'm fired up.
Yeah, as we record this, it's 5 minutes to go in the Grizzlies Mavericks play-in game. Grizzlies are up almost 20 here. They're up 19, so we can kind of pencil them in. Today, we're just going to go over the bracket for the NBA playoffs, kind of make some picks, who we think's going to win, who's a sleeper. But let's get started in the West. So assuming the Grizzlies win this game, it's going to be OKC Memphis. I think that'll be an exciting series, but what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good series. I'm personally a little bit iffy on OKC. I mean, obviously, like it's hard to deny. I mean, what do they have 68 wins, 67, 68 wins, something like that. Like they're no like slouching by any means, but they still kind of have that like lack of experience, super young. And the thing is, that Memphis has struggled over the last couple of years, but they have like their core has been there before. So I still think I'm going to give the edge to OKC, but I think it could go seven, but I think in six.
Yeah, I like you were saying about Memphis. I mean, John Morant, obviously he's a superstar player in the NBA. And then they've got Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain. Like they have some really good pieces on that roster, but I mean, shout out to Canada, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, my favorite
SGA,
player. He's got to get it done, and I I don't really know if there's anyone on Memphis that's capable of guarding him. I don't know if
yeah,
there's many players in the NBA that are, but Memphis
no,
doesn't really have that.
I mean there's always the thing that comes with SGA is that he gets bailed out by fouls, even though you can watch lots of videos. There are lots of videos out there debunking that theory. However, in a playoff setting, if he's not getting that same whistle, I could see him getting a little frustrated and maybe having one or two off nights. But I still think, especially against like the quote unquote eight seed, which in the West, I think actually, I don't really think there's a true difference between the three to eight seed. I think they're all very similar.
Yeah,
But
that's very fair.
I just that I could see him getting a little frustrated and maybe having a bad game or two. But especially against Memphis, they don't have a Dyson Daniels to throw at him. They don't have like like an Asar Thompson or an Amen Thompson or either of the any kind of top notch defensive guys besides obviously Jaren Jackson, but he's a big.
Yeah, yeah, or a Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll move on to Rockets Warriors. I know you're a Warriors fan, kind of a
Yes.
bandwagon, but whatever.
No.
Um, but what do you think out of that series? I think that's going to be a really close one.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously the Warriors have all that experience. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So taking on a young Houston team who really no one expected to be a two seed. I think most people probably expected them to be in the play in, maybe a five or six.
Yeah. I
But
thought for sure nine seed. Nine seed. Then they'll
yeah,
be in the final play-in game. But I I don't know. See, here's my thing. Jimmy Butler is undeniably good for the last what, seven, ever since they played the Raptors in 2019. That was when I was like first introduced to playoff Jimmy,
yeah,
and I was freaking scared, man. I'm a Raptors fan first before Warriors fan, all right? So everyone, you need to calm down. I cheered for the Raptors in the 2019 finals, okay? But every single game, I was shaking in my boots watching Jimmy Butler, arguably more than I was when they were playing the Bucks and they were playing against Giannis. Can he continue to do it? I think he's 35 now, 34, 35. But him and Steph combined, like I know ever since they acquired Jimmy Butler, they've just been on an absolute heater. They've barely lost. And I don't know. And then I've been arguing with a lot of Rockets fans also on this subject. And they say, well, last time we played, because they played 2 or 3 games ago, we clamped Steph Curry. We held him to like 3 points, or how many points Steph Curry had. But here's how I see it. I think Houston showed their cards too early, and they showed how they're going to guard Steph in the playoffs. I don't know. What do you think about that?
well, I mean that's the thing. You talk about Jimmy Butler. He's a proven playoff performer, and even if Steph is has an off night, like Jimmy can pick up some of that slack. They've got some other pieces around that team. They're not a very deep team by any means, but they have some pieces that can put up a 20-point game, 15 get 15 points here and there, right? So I I think yeah, you can maybe hold Steph to say 10, 15 points in a couple of games, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that for an entire series, and that's the only way that they're going to be able to win this series in my opinion. I don't think they're going to be able to hold them four 4 out of 7 games to under 20 points and be able to come out with a win. So I would probably take the Warriors in this one,
Yep.
but
Well, obviously, I'm going to take the Warriors as a Warriors fan here, but I just like, and even the thing is, especially Steph Curry against the Rockets, he has terrorized that franchise. And I can't remember if it would have been their most recent playoff game or it would have been the one before the Warriors eliminated them the last time they played, but he had 0 points going in like halfway through the third quarter, and he finished with like I can't remember if it was 35 or 40 or something, but he just was ridiculous. Especially in the fourth quarter, I think he went like 8 for 8 or something from three or something. I don't know, but all I know is that I think that he will continue to terrorize that city.
yeah, so let's move on to the Lakers Timberwolves. I'm this is another series that I'm really excited to watch. And Edwards going up against Luka Doncic and LeBron James. I I am concerned for the Lakers in this one though, just because of their lack of bigs, and that's a huge strong suit for the Timberwolves, obviously with Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid. Yeah, I don't know if obviously Luka and LeBron like can't really match up against that, but the lack of size and lack of elite bigs on, or even just starting bigs on the Lakers, like who's their starter right now? It's either Jackson Hayes or Alex Len.
I believe it's Jackson Hayes,
Yeah, like
like
Jackson, he's not.
regardless.
Yeah, he's not doing anything out there against. He's not going to be able to guard Naz Reid. Naz Reid can stretch him out to the 3 point line, and he can't handle that. And then Rudy Gobert is going to be able to lock him down in the paint. Not
Hmm.
that he'll really need to. It's not like Jackson Hayes is a big scoring threat, but yeah, I'm concerned about the Lakers in this first round. This was probably the worst matchup they could have gotten outside of maybe Nikola Jokic. But what are you thinking in this series?
It's funny that you say that because I was the same people I was arguing with about this Rocket series, I was arguing with about this series, and I said the exact same thing. I said I think this is one of the worst matchups they could have possibly had besides the Nuggets, and they all called me idiots. All right, so it's nice to have a little bit of vindication here because obviously, if Minnesota didn't make that insanely questionable trade and get rid of Karl Anthony Towns, I think that this series wouldn't even be close. I think it's a sweep for the Timberwolves. But I still think I'm going to personally give the edge to the Timberwolves. Although you have Luka and LeBron, I think that Julius Randle is being overlooked by everyone. He can score, and I really don't know who you're going to throw. Who you're going to throw at Julius Randle? I mean, you can throw LeBron at him, but he's at
Yeah,
the end of
you'd
the day,
probably go LeBron.
he's 40 years old. Like in a 7 game series, you're playing every other night. There's no load management. It's not the finals. The finals you're playing every third day. In round one and two, you're playing every other day. It sounds like a small difference, but as someone who's been through a playoff series before, a 7 game series, it's a huge difference. The difference between back to back, every other day, and every third day. It makes a like I can't stress enough. And at the age of 40, when I was 19, I could barely do it. And I don't know how you can do it at the age of 40.
Yeah, I think you'd probably match LeBron up with Julius Randle. You'd probably, well, I mean, who's going to guard Ant Edwards too? I guess maybe,
You could throw Reeves at him,
yeah,
but
like
can Reeves do it? I don't know. Luka's way too slow.
yeah, no, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't be putting Luca on him. But I personally, I see what you're saying, but I'm still going to give the edge to the Lakers. I just think Luca is obviously
Luka.
a walking triple double. He's Luka Doncic, and then LeBron James is LeBron James. So I I think this series goes to 7 games, and but the Lakers come out on top in this one.
We can give it to the Lakers. That's fine. And I must say, I am a hater for the Lakers, but I love Luka Doncic. So this is one of the most conflicting things that has ever happened to me in my entire life. I walk around every day since fuck or since I was my dad introduced me to basketball. He's always taught me to hate the Lakers. And I love Luka. I used to watch all his highlights and now I don't know what to do.
Yeah, thank you, Nico Harrison.
Yeah.
We'll go to the last series here. Nuggets Clippers. I'm not. This is probably the least exciting series in my eyes. I just think the Nuggets, like, other than Jokic, kind of a boring team to watch now. I mean, Jamal Murray's not what he used to be, or at least hasn't been lately.
No.
And then Michael Porter Jr. is just a shot chucker. And then you've got on the Clippers, you got Kawhi Leonard, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm giving this one to the Nuggets pretty easily.
See, I actually think the opposite on that because I do not know why they fired Michael Malone. It does not make any sense. Now, well, it would have made sense. I still don't agree with it, by the way. They're a 3 seed. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But you have the best player in the world, and you're 4 games away from the playoffs, and you fire your coach and GM. I cannot think of a reasonable justification for that. As a 3 seed, too. Like, I don't get it at all. But what? Well, I guess they ended up being the 4 seed, right?
Yeah, 4 seed. Lakers are the 3.
Yeah. But at the time, I believe they were the 3 seed. But regardless, like, I don't know. I think that there might just be a little bit discombobulated and a little bit unorganized. And I think that the veteranness of Kawhi and James Harden, and don't forget about Norman Powell too. He's
Yeah.
he has the championship pedigree. He's been there. He's won it. But I don't know. If you want to give it to the Nuggets, that's fine by me. Jokic is the best player in the world. As much as I think that Shea deserves MVP, if we're just going best player for best player, I don't think anyone can stack up to Jokic right now. But yeah, we can give it to the Nuggets. That's fine.
So let's move over to the East. We'll start with the Cavs Heat. Obviously, the Heat just punched their ticket earlier today with an overtime win over the Atlanta Hawks. That was a fun game to watch. I thought when Trae Young took it to the basket for the game tying layup, I thought he was gonna pull a step back three for the win, but I was happily surprised that he didn't, because it would have been a stupid shot to do that. But Cavs, obviously, they've been unbelievable this year. I don't know if I can really even make an argument for the Miami Heat to be able to handle them in a 7-game series.
No, I think that I mean the way Davion Mitchell played, maybe they can get one, but I'm thinking gentleman's sweep here.
Yeah. The Cavs, just their roster's so good. Like, you got Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. The Heat just can't stack up to that. I guess they got Davion Mitchell, who can be that lockdown defender. You've got Tyler Hero, who can be your bucket getter. Bam Adebayo, obviously, but
They don't have a star anymore,
no.
and they need one. If
Yeah,
they had
exactly.
Jimmy, I could see this. I could see them pushing it to 6, maybe. But even with Jimmy, this Cavs team is surgical.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go to Celtics Magic. I'm excited for this one. I like the Magic. They're a fun team. Social media is always fun. Their TikToks, their songs. But
Orlando Magic.
they take on the reigning champs and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I like the future for the Magic, but I don't think this is their year to get past the first round.
No, but if there was to be a major upset, 'cause honestly, I don't think any series in the West, even if it's a 7-2, I honestly don't see it as a huge upset. But if there was to be a quote unquote major upset, I could see the Magic actually getting it done. But I still don't think it's going to happen. Apollo, maybe he can put Tatum in absolute hell, but I think he needs another year. I think that this is the year to get your experience, figure out what it's like in the playoffs, and then start to build for next year.
Yeah, that's actually a matchup that I'm really excited to see. Bankero against Jason Tatum. I mean, they're similar players, and Bankero's obviously a younger version of that. But I, I mean, this is kind of off
Well,
topic, but like, do you think Bankero could reach that Jason Tatum level of stardom in the NBA, or is he just like a lesser version?
I think that we'll see a lot be revealed in this playoff run. Like, if he comes out and he's just on another level and he's dominating and he rises to the occasion, I absolutely 100% believe he could reach that peak and maybe even higher. I mean, I like what I've seen so far,
Hmm.
but we haven't seen him in a situation really. I mean, we saw him in the play-in, but a playoff 7 game series, we haven't really seen it yet. And I don't know. It's going to be hard to surpass Tatum when he's still 19 years old. But no, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. I do think that it's possible, but I think a lot will be revealed in this series.
Moving on to the Knicks Pistons, New York Knicks. Um, I mean, the Pistons are another team, kind of like the Houston Rockets, not to the same level, but they kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really expect them to be a shoe in for the playoffs, especially just with how bad that team was last year and has been for the last few years. Um,
Yeah,
do you see any way that they can upset the Knicks? I personally don't. I just think the Knicks are too good of a team. They're too deep to really be able to um, get upset by the Pistons.
yeah, I agree, and I must come clear and say that when my teams are out, the two teams I go to in the MLB and NBA are the Knicks, and I go to the Mets. So I do tend to bandwagon over there. I really like Jalen Brunson. I really like Josh Hart, and I really like Mikal Bridges. I especially like Mikal Bridges because he just plays through everything. I mean, his Iron Man streak is respectable, especially in the load management era. But I love the power of friendship they have over there. I mean, I wish that Dante was still there, but
Yeah.
I mean, they have Cat too. And I think that they could be a team that you don't want to see if they get hot. And if they start to get hot, I think there could be a real danger to the Celtics and the Cavs.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Carl Anthony Towns. Obviously, that addition to their front court is just a huge upgrade over Mitchell Robinson from last year. The issue that I have with the Knicks, and this is going to be an issue as long as Thibodeau's their coach, I just can't see them going on a deep run because of how much he plays these guys in the playoffs. Like, you can't be playing your starters 40 plus minutes night in, night out. You're just talking about the wear and tear that LeBron James is going to face. Well, LeBron James is only going to play like 35 minutes, and then maybe one night he only plays 30. Maybe a night he plays 40 if they really need it. But this team is night in, night out going to be playing guys 40 to 45 minutes a game. So I I question that coaching style. Obviously, he's a great defensive minded coach, but you gotta rest your players a little bit during games.
I agree. I mean, it kind of contradicts what I said, but what you said has some truth to it. I mean, it's what makes me a fan of them, honestly. It gives me a lot of respect for them. But when you do take a step back and you remove kind of my bias, I guess you could say. I've said that word like 8 times this podcast now, but when you remove my bias and you actually take a step back, it is a fair criticism of Tom Thibodeau. But I, especially in round one, I think it's too early for them to really feel that wear and tear because they are still quite young core. I mean, they're not old, they're not young, but they're not old.
Yeah.
They're still in their primes. They're not 40 like LeBron, so I think they could still easily get it done around one. I'd say five, maybe six.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a long series. My concern is more when they move on to the next round and have to play either the Pacers or the Bucks, team like that, and that's a series that is probably going to go on a while. Let's move over to that series now. Pacers Bucks. Pacers are the 4 seed, Bucks are the 5 seed. I'm I love Giannis, Luca, and Shea, my 3 favorite players in the NBA. I don't know if I can pick the Bucks in this one though. I don't see it there, and the Pacers have so much talent on their roster that I I think they probably get it done in 6. But what where are you leaning on this matchup?
I think that Giannis has quietly been the second best player in the world over the last 4 or 5 weeks, ever since I can't remember if he was injured or he came back from something. But he came back from something, or maybe it was the All-Star break. I can't remember. But he has been quietly good, not receiving any media attention because he's in Milwaukee, obviously. And Damian Lillard's been out, and they just got Damian Lillard back. They have Giannis and Kyle Kuzma. All right. But all seriousness, I do see a world where the Bucks can get past the Pacers because I don't know who the Pacers really can throw at Giannis. I mean, they have Pascal Siakam to throw at Giannis, but the thing is that when the Raptors played the Bucks, obviously this was a few more than a few years ago, but Pascal could not guard Giannis. He was
No.
frying him every time. They had to put Kawhi on him, and Kawhi's career is probably messed up because of the amount of times he had to guard Giannis. And that series was ridiculous. He messed his ankle up. He still had to guard Giannis because no one else could do it. I don't know if the Pacers have a guy. I don't know if Pascal Siakam can do it. For that reason, I give the Bucks the edge. But if you want to go with the Pacers, we can go with the Pacers.
Well, going back a little bit to that Raptors series against the Bucks, like Siakam 100% couldn't handle Giannis, but they did a good job of letting Marc Gasol kind of be a paint help defender when Giannis would drive to the basket. And I think Miles Turner, he's probably, I mean, I don't know if I'd say better than Marc Gasol,
More
but
athletic.
yeah, he's a more athletic rim protector. So I think if they use that kind of like the Raptors did in 2019, there's a real chance that they're not going to shut Giannis down, but they could hold him to maybe a less efficient um, way of scoring and hold him make his field goal percentage go down a bit. And that is how I kind of see the Pacers defending him. And then obviously Halliburton, Siakam, even Turner. They've got guys that can score. They don't have necessarily that bona fide go to scorer, but I think they just have enough depth around them that they can handle Giannis defensively to an extent. They can handle Damian Lillard to an extent as well. And then they can also score with the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean the thing that is intriguing to me is Giannis has really tried to expand his range from where he's been scoring. He's been shooting a lot of mid-range pull-ups. And can that translate to the playoffs where the teams are going to study his tendencies? They're going to look and see, okay, when he's going left, he's taking what, two dribbles and he's pulling up, or he's getting to this move. So sit on his hip here and see how he reacts. And then you'll shut down this and you'll take away that option. And then Miles Turner, you can slide and take that away, right? So it's the book. The book is expanding on Giannis every year, and so he has to change his game. And he thinks, from what I think he believes he's made a necessary change to make teams be in more hell guarding someone who's already extremely hard to guard. But I'm really intrigued by this series. This is probably my series I'm most excited for in the East.
Yeah, how many games do you think this series is going to go?
See, I think if the Pacers win, it's going 7, and I think if the Bucks win, it's going 5 because that just means they couldn't solve Giannis. They couldn't do it, and Damian Lillard got hot and was hitting from everywhere and hit a night.
Dame time. So we've covered the first round here. Let's I we've obviously made our picks for who we think is going to go through each series, but who in your mind is a dark horse contender to win the NBA championship? Like obviously like we've made arguments as to why certain teams can't go the distance. Like I was talking about the Knicks, but who's a lower seed that you think can go the distance and actually win an NBA championship if everything goes right for them?
Okay, The first answer that comes to my mind is the Golden State Warriors. But obviously, I'm a fan, so I'm not going to pick the Warriors. If you want to make an argument for the Warriors, you can go ahead. But for me, a team that actually I sincerely think makes a run to go all the way is the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that if Giannis actually truly expanded his range, like how he looked, and the teams can't figure him out, I don't know how well a team's going to be able to guard him. Because once he gets past the Pacers, who is that round two matchup be again? Sorry.
That would be the winner of the Knicks Pistons.
Yeah, Knicks gonna be gassed. All of a sudden, Giannis is in the conference finals against Cleveland or Boston. Let's be realistic here. Boston, Tatum will do his best. I don't know. I don't know if he can do it, and they don't really have a true
Actually,
big. They have,
sorry, before the Bucks would take on the Cavs in the second round.
Bucks take on the Cavs.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
Well, I think that if Giannis can figure something out here, then the Cavs should be worried. Because although they do have Evan Mobley, who they can slide to help, if they don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think they have like a really, aside from Mobley, like a really long wing that they can throw at Giannis to guard him on the perimeter.
Not one that comes to mind. Let me pull up their roster here. So their starting lineup is Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen.
Yeah, I mean that is two bigs. So what you're gonna see is you're gonna see Mobley or you're gonna see Jarrett Allen on the perimeter likely, right? Or they're gonna have to go small. So automatically Cleveland is gonna have to play Milwaukee's game. And will that play into the Cleveland, like the Cavs' favor? I don't think so. I, I obviously, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if they'll get it done. But I think that the Bucks actually have a more of a realistic chance than a lot of people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, I like that argument. I think that's totally fair. They obviously the Bucks have that star power, like you're saying, Giannis, Dame. Like that's what you need in the NBA to win. You need a bona fide guy that can go get 30 points for you, and they realistically have two of those guys that are proven playoff performers. So I definitely can see that happening. I'm gonna go over to the West. I'm gonna say the Minnesota Timberwolves are my team. Just we were talking about this earlier. I picked the Lakers to win that series, but you were saying, and I agree, there's a real world where the bigs in Minnesota can really make a difference in that series. And Anthony Edwards is that guy that can get you 30, and they made the conference finals last year. I think they're a legit team that can go on a run. And so say they get past the Lakers, their second round matchup would end up being either the Houston Rockets or Golden State Warriors. I I mean, I think they can get past either of those teams pretty handedly as well. And then you've got either the OKC Thunder or a combination of the Denver Nuggets and LA Clippers in the conference finals. And you were saying you're concerned about OKC because of their youth. I would agree with that too. So I think that if the Timberwolves are able to get past the Lakers, there's a very real chance that we see them in the NBA Finals. And I think they have a good enough and deep enough team to go on a real run in the playoffs this year and maybe contend for a championship.
Yeah, you raise a lot of good points. And looking at it that way, I agree. But I do worry about Minnesota's matchup with the Rockets, but I do think that they match up well with the Warriors because much like the Lakers, obviously the Warriors have Draymond Green, but they don't really have. I mean, Rudy Gobert is not an offensive guy to
No.
say, but Jimmy Butler gets a lot of his success at the rim and from mid range. I mean, obviously he can shoot spot up, but that's not his game, right? And if Rudy Gobert can protect the rim well and Steph isn't shooting, then that spells a lot of worry for the Warriors. The Rockets, on the other hand, I don't know. I think that's a good matchup for the Rockets, personally. But again, I say that's a good matchup, but they don't have experience. And the T-Wolves will have the experience, so we'll see. I must say this is one of the best first round matchups, like first round matchup slates I've ever seen in the NBA playoffs. Every single series, aside from I'd say the Cavs and Celtics, you can make an argument for every single team
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The West is a really deep conference this year. Um, Obviously, like the Phoenix Suns didn't make the playoffs, and that's a team that could have also gone on a bit of a run with the amount of star power they have. They don't have the depth or um, even some of their starters are pretty weak, but that's a real team that could have gone on a run, especially if they weren't in the Western Conference. So yeah, I'm excited to see the matchups in the first round this year. I think we've kind of in the NBA we've seen some pretty boring playoffs the last few years, and I think this one could really get people excited and back interested in NBA playoffs right off the bat here, starting tomorrow. So who will we'll end off with the NBA playoffs with this. Who is your pick to win it this year? You got to pick one team. You just picked a dark horse, but who's your actual pick to win the NBA championship this year?
This truly pains me to say, but I think it's going to be the Boston Celtics. I absolutely hate everything about the Boston Celtics. I don't like Joe Mazzulla. I'm not a fan of Jaylen Brown. I'm a Jason Tatum hater. But Kristaps Porzingis is still there. Derek White is still there. Peyton Pritchard is starting to look like a real NBA player. And I don't know. I don't. I'm struggling to find a team that will actually beat them. Maybe OKC can do it if they surprise me and they're not like handcuffed by their lack of experience. But man, I do not want to see Jason Tatum raise that trophy again, but I think he is going to.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. I don't want to pick the Celtics either, and I'm not going to, but yeah, they're such a good team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I mean, they have the depth, they have the star power, they have good two-way players that can play offensively and play good defense. So I think I have them going to the finals, but I'm going to take the Oklahoma City Thunder to win it. I just looking at their roster, looking at their starting lineup, SGA, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't know if there's like that's a really strong starting five. And then you've got Alex Caruso, Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams, like you got
Aaron
AJ
Wiggins.
Mitchell, Aaron Wiggins. Like they've got a really deep team, and it's because of all those draft picks that they've
Yeah,
been hoarding over the last 4 or 5 years, however long it's been. But yeah, I think they, despite the lack of experience, I think they can get it done. I think Shea is obviously playing at an MVP caliber um, year this year, and I don't know if there's a team that can really slow him down. And I don't know if there's a team that can slow the rest of their team down. Lou Dort's probably one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. Jalen Williams is a good two-way player. Chet's a good two-way player. Hartenstein is solid defensively and good offensively. Like I really like that team. So I'm gonna take OKC to win it all, but I definitely do have a concern with their lack of experience going into the playoffs this year, but I'm still gonna pick them.
yeah. In a vacuum where experience doesn't matter, like the regular season, I 100% agree that they have the best roster, and they proved it in the regular season. I I just worry about the experience. But if they can prove that the experience doesn't matter, and maybe I'll have a completely different opinion after round one. Until they can prove it, I don't think they can get it done. But if they prove it to me, I screw what I said about the parity. The OKC Thunder are gonna steamroll everyone to the championship.
Let's move off of the NBA for a second here, just to wrap things up. There was a signing in the CEBL. Tristan Jass to the Vancouver Bandits, our hometown team. What can you say about that? I know you're a lot more tapped into the CEBL than I am. Um, what what does this signing mean? Like, is he actually? Do you think he's actually going to play for the Bandits? What's happening with this YouTuber who's never played professional basketball signing in a professional basketball league?
Yeah. So I must say, right off the bat, they didn't just sign this guy just to sign him, right? There's no way they didn't put him through a workout. They put him through a workout, they did their due diligence, and I'm sure they had conversations with him where they sat him down and they said, look, you're coming here. We aren't guaranteeing you anything, right? You have to come here and you still have to earn it. Because one thing that a lot of people probably don't know about the league is you can only have two Americans on the floor at all times. Now, in his YouTube video, he said that they guaranteed him playing time in the first two games. Those two games are both technically exhibition games, so the American rule doesn't matter. So he's going to get minutes in those first two games. If you want to see Tristan Jass for sure, go check out those first two games. He will be playing, and it'll be a sight to see. The CEBL is one of the best leagues that I've ever seen live. I haven't seen a whole lot of pro basketball live, but I've seen some, and this league just needs eyes on it, and that's what this signing is going to do. It's going to bring lots and lots of attention to the league. Now, obviously, there's the concern that this is going to take some credibility off the league. The signing was broken to me, I found out a little bit before everyone else. That was my first concern, is the validity of the league might be shot a little bit. But I think this is actually going to be a net positive, and I'll tell you why. With all these additional eyes, it's going to bring in lots and lots more sponsorship money, and they can pay the players more. They can lure more talent over, and this can be a league where guys come as their solid secondary league. Because like a main issue the CEBL has right now, and I would love to do a whole episode about this, by the way, is guys come here and they're just coming here just to get paid, to stay in shape. They're not actually coming here to win a championship. They're just waiting until the summer league. They're waiting to see if they can sign a better deal. A lot of these guys show up like 1 or 2 weeks before the season starts. They're not here yet, right? I think the Bandits probably only have 2 or 3 guys here. The season starts in about a month, right? So it's a bit of a concern. But when we bring in all this extra eyes, all the attention, all the sponsorship money, we'll be able to pay the guys more. They'll be more inclined to come earlier. Maybe they'll start leaving the other leagues earlier to come here. I think that the motion, the path this league needs to take is they need to start to look at like a place for the G Leaguers to come play in the summer and have lots of NBA eyes on the league. And they do. They've had, I think last season they had 3 or 4 guys play in the NBA. So this is not a league that's for scrubs, right? These are real guys. So, circling back to Tristan Jass, this will be a good test for him. I think that he could have some success. Obviously, I went and watched a lot of his stuff. And I mean, he had 58 in the creator game, and that's what you would expect a pro who's trying in a creator game to have. So, offensively, I think you'll have no issues. The only issues will be on the defensive end, and we'll find out right away on that first exhibition game how he does.
Yeah, what is he listed at? 5'10". There's a lack of size there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you're saying, it's not the same caliber as the NBA, obviously, and you're not gonna have those same it's a smaller league, I guess I would say, especially with just the U Sports players coming over, a lot of those guys. It's more of a guard driven league
Yeah.
in my eyes. So yeah, I think it's a cool thing, but like you were saying, I just thought it might be a little bit gimmicky.
Yeah. Oh,
That was
100%. There's 100% a gimmick to it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like you're saying though, it's cool. It's going to get more eyes on the league. It's going to I didn't even take into consideration the sponsorship possibilities from that. I think that's a really good point, that it will bring in, like you're saying, more eyes, more sponsorship opportunities, get players paid more, and I would love to see that league grow more from what it is today. There's couple, well, my buddy who plays for the UVic Vikes, in U Sports basketball. There's a couple of his teammates that are on the Vancouver Bandits team. Another one of his teammates that's playing, I think, in Winnipeg this year. So that's another cool thing that the CEBL does. They bring in college players for the summer, give them an opportunity to get a taste of professional basketball, playing against NBA talent, playing against guys who play professionally overseas in other leagues. Yeah, I think it's a really cool league and a really exciting time for the league as well. But yeah, my concern was just that it was a bit like what Scarborough did a
with
few
J.
years
Cole.
ago with Jake Cole. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and for any of you guys watching, who I'm not sure how many people watch this, but for any of you guys watching who have never seen a CEBL game, look up your local CEBL team and go check out a game. This is unreal basketball. Like Cat Barber, Justin Wright Foreman. I'm not sure actually Justin Wright Foreman is back in the league this year because he is a legit player. But Cat Barber is usually on Scarborough. And the Bandits have this guy, Mitch Creek, literally played with Dirk Nowitzki, right? These guys are no scrubs. He played games for Brooklyn. He was with Dallas. He knows what he's doing, right? Last year they had Tajay Moore. Guy went to the G League, played some games for the Trailblazers this year. Super exciting guy. There's lots of guys. In basketball, the gap between me and a pro is way bigger than probably any sport, and there's so many good pros to go around. The NBA is only a 30-team league, so that is 32 guys who could be in the NBA or in the G League, which pushes 32 guys who at least are G League caliber down even farther. But I mean, this is obviously a long story. But you start thinking about scorers who are good enough, but they're just not good at that score. All of a sudden, the third tier scorer isn't even in the G League; he's in the CEBL. There's so many great players. I swear, go check out the CEBL. It is an unreal league. I cannot say their praises enough.
Well, we should email them and ask for quick sponsorship here. But yeah, definitely check it out. I will be honest, I've yet to go to a game, but I definitely will be going to a game this summer. And I'm excited to experience it live. I watched a few games on TV last year during the playoffs when the Bandits were on their championship run. But yeah, I'm excited to check it out live this year. So,
And if I
I
could add
guess,
one last point,
yeah.
Dylan Kular, the owner of the Vancouver Bandits, is one of the best owners in the Lower Mainland. Him and Amar Doman are great owners. And it puts to shame Francesco Aquilini. Please sell the team, Francesco Aquilini. Oh my goodness. Sorry, Dylan Kular does so much for the community. I do not know what Francesco Aquilini does for the community, and his team is worth probably 20 times more than what the Vancouver Bandits would sell for. That's my final point.
I think 20 times might be generous. It's probably more than that.
Probably.
But yeah, we'll end it off there. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Cam, for joining today. Check out the CEBL, and we'll see you next time.